Toys for Bob would love to work on a new Banjo Kazooie. This comes from Jordan Midler at VGC. A super chat question for you. What would you like Toys for Bob to work on next? Toys for Bob said it would love to work on Banjo. In an interview with content creator Canadian guy Toys for Bob studio head Paul Yan was asked which developers or IP would the studio love to work on.
I think it's, and this is not a joke, I think it's Canadian guy,
Yeah.
Yeah. You said like it was like
Yeah.
but it's more like, you know
what I mean?
That's what they do up there. That's what they do up there.
That's their word.
That's their
That's their
but
word.
Like if
We
I say
can't-
I'm a bad guy, Tim.
Yeah, we can't take that. That's theirs.
There's so many. Sorry.
This is why we make jokes.
Quote, there's so many, and that's one of the exciting possibilities of being independent, said Jan. One company we'd like to work with that we're already working with, Team Xbox. They've been a great partner, and they also have a very interesting roster of characters that Toys for Bob could have a lot of fun with. The Honey Bear is the first one that comes to mind. I think we can all agree Banjo's been hibernating long enough, right? The Rare-owned platformer hasn't seen an installment since Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, which was released on 360 15 years ago. No.
Honestly, that doesn't sound long enough.
Really?
Yeah, Nuts and Bolts sounds like a different generation ago. Like 5 generations ago.
Man. In 2020, Spencer said that any revivals of classic Rare franchises were up to Rare itself. However, speaking to VGC this summer as part of an extended interview to mark Banjo's 25th anniversary, a group of original Rare team members said they weren't expecting a new game anytime soon.
What do you
Cool.
think?
I mean, this is like, it is fun that they're actually saying it. You know what I mean? Like, to have Toys for Bob straight up say Banjo's name. It's like, all right, I don't think it necessarily means anything, but it also doesn't not mean something. Tony Hawk 3 and 4 are coming out in a couple months, bless. Anything is possible. Activision's IPs, Microsoft's IPs, any way you want to look at it now, there's so many of them. I think all options are on the table, and we're still in that state of chaos, I think, of the acquisitions still not being like fully like figured out in terms of like who's working on what and who falls under who and all that stuff. But I do think sooner than later that stuff will get ironed out, and we're going to get like a new lineup of Xbox announcements, right?
Yeah.
That is like, now that South of Midnight is out, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like we're starting to get that. I'd say we're like halfway through this, like the last generation of Xbox titles, and I think we're gonna start to get a whole bunch of new announcements, right?
What do you think they're working on currently, Toys for Bob? Spyro?
I mean, that's the thing is, Spyro 4 would have been my bet. They were working on a Crash 5, and then that got canned at some point. So I don't know. Like, I'm just excited for whatever Toys for Bob's working on. I think that they've earned it at this point of just like, whether it's a brand new, I think it's a 3D platformer.
If you're to put your CEO hat on, like let's say your Toys for Bob studio CEO hat on, and you're coming off some wins, right? You put out Crash 4 quite a few years ago. People love it. It's great, right? And you're trying to figure out what you're doing next. And you're now independent. You have access to these Xbox IPs. What are the IPs, or what are the games you pick from a business standpoint?
I mean, it's just pure business.
Pure business.
It's Crash Bandicoot.
Oh, before a new Banjo?
I think a Crash outsells Banjo.
Oh.
I know that hurts for people to hear.
That does hurt.
I just think it's a numbers game. Having said that, they've done Crash recently, so I can see them not wanting to over rely on it. You know what I mean? And also, like, Crash Rumble, I don't think like set the world on fire in any way. So it's like you definitely don't want to get back to the point we were at a couple generations ago, where like Crash games were a fucking joke. You know what I mean? Crash as a character was a joke. But yeah, I think that a Crash game would sell better, but I think that in terms of IP value, in terms of like Xbox value, Banjo's the move, just because it's like goodwill, bringing something back that's exciting. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. We all know that therapy can feel like a lofty investment, but we also know that there's nothing better to invest in than yourself. The state of your mind is just as important as your physical health. Let's talk numbers. Traditional in-person therapy can cost anywhere from $100 to $250 per session, which adds up fast. But with BetterHelp Online Therapy, you can save on average up to 50% per session. Therapy should feel accessible, not like a luxury. With BetterHelp, you pay a flat fee for weekly sessions, saving you big on cost and on time. Some of my best friends use BetterHelp and love how helpful it can be for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself, and it isn't just for those who've experienced major trauma.
If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Your well-being is worth it. Visit betterhelp.com/kindafunny to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/kindafunny. BetterHelp.com/kindafunny.
Do you think there's like a latent, I know this is always an impossible thing to measure, but like fan desire for a new Banjo, like the return of Banjo Kazooie? Like because I agree with you as far as I guess like overall Crash as an IP is just a bit more, I guess like makes more business sense than Banjo, because Crash has been active. You know, Crash has an audience that's going to return to it or whatever, right? And like maybe Crash is a bit more mainstream than Banjo, but I think there is like just the sense of Banjo's been gone forever. We've not gotten a traditional Banjo game since Banjo Tooie in like 2000 or some shit, right? Like, I feel like a new Banjo in 2025, 2026 has the potential to take over.
I also think that the expectations for Banjo are going to be way higher and way more difficult to meet than a Crash. A Crash 4 came out, and I'd say more than less, people were like shocked that it was good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I feel like so many people, Crash Bandicoot sucks. And I'm like, oh, this game's actually good.
Yeah.
You know, whereas like Banjo, I think it's like, oh, we're talking about nostalgia goggles. These are some of the best games of all time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Following up on that is a much tougher sell.
I agree with that. Yeah, I think that just for the nature of the kind of platformer is, I think Crash, when you're talking about making a new Crash game, right? Like, there's more linearity there, right? Like, I think Crash is a bit more dialed in as far as what you can do with a new Crash nowadays, whereas Banjo, you're almost going up against a Mario Odyssey. Like, you're kind of going up against like these platformers that are more explorative and more like collectathon based, and I think there's more work to be put into making a, like, way more work to be put in making a new Banjo versus a new Crash.
Yeah, and we didn't talk about Spyro, but I also think Spyro has a lot of juice in it as well.
I think Spyro, out of those three, I think Spyro might be at the bottom of the list.
I don't know, because I think specifically for Toys for Bob,
well,
I think Spyro makes the most sense.
Yeah.
And Spyro's the one that I think has earned the follow-up sequel from Toys for Bob the most.
Toys for Bob did the Spyro Reignited trilogy.
I want to say yes. I always, Kebabs will correct me here, but like I always get it wrong of like which of the studios did what.
Yeah.
With Beanox and all of them, but I'm pretty sure they did. Anyways, the fact that this many 3D platformers are being talked about at all, bless, is a good thing.
I'm 100%.
Like we're living in a very good time for platformers.
Amen.
Riley says Toys for Bob and the Conquer IP. I feel like we gotta get Banjo before we get Conquer.
I don't think they'll be right for Conquer. I forget. I had an idea for Conquer, and I forgot what it was. I'll think on it though. There's a developer that is right for Conquer that we've mentioned before on this show. Was it the High for Life people? I don't think it was. Or High Off Life. I mean, they could make. I think their humor fits High on Life. Thank you.
Yeah,
their humor actually kind of fits Conquer. But there's a studio there. I just don't think that Toys for Bob is the one.
Yeah, I agree totally. We have Volk Dasher talking about the last thing. Why put Helldivers 2 on Xbox to sell 5 copies? It's a console that doesn't sell games, unfortunately. While that is true for a lot of things, I do think Helldivers is the type of game that could sell on an Xbox.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Multiplayer shooter games, those should be everywhere.
Yeah.
That's just how this goes, man. We need the community. Memo in the notebook says, y'all, my show last night was fucking lit. Y'all need to go next time. Love you, KF crew. Congrats, man.
Yeah.
Kebab says, Spyro 4. I edit some of CGE's vids. He's really cool. Awesome.
Nice.
Then DMCK says, Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts was my jam. By no means the best of the series, but I had so much fun when I was younger messing around with crazy stuff. Toys for Bob making any platformers a win, though. Super good remakes. That's my thing. It's like anything they do, whether it's Crash, Spyro, Banjo, or a brand new IP, I'm here for it, and I think they're going to nail it.
What would you do if we get to the end of the Xbox Game Showcase and we get Xbox Games Publishing, Toys for Bob, and then a trailer for Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts 2?
Man.
Tough.
Yeah,
that's tough.
I believe in Xbox right now, man. I believe in the next round of games they're going to show. Like, I think it's going to be. I think the dominoes, bless, have been fallen.
Yeah,
we are in the midst of it. This is good. I think this is like one of the best times for Xbox games, and I think they're going to continue it.
Hell yeah!
And I think they're going to find success with it, but we'll see.